Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a really great day. Today, this video is the inaugural episode of what I'm going to be calling Terry's Top 10. Let's count them down.
Launch sequence activated.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's right, Terry's Top 10. I just came up with a few categories of things that I collectibles oriented that I thought that I could share with you guys, or just to talk about, just to get it out there, and maybe spur some conversation. Is that like encumbrance? Like too much, I'm carrying too much baggage on my shoulder. I need to get it off, maybe get something off my chest. Like this great Flynn's Arcade t-shirt that came too late for the other video, but oh well. I've actually got another video that I'm gonna wear this shirt for too, so this isn't gonna be the only time that you see this shirt. Oh God, Terry wears that shirt so much. Oh God, it's the Flynn's shirt again. Oh, he wears that shirt so much. Does he ever wash it? Ew, gross. Anyway, first, let me just give you a little bit of background on this. The whole idea of doing a top 10 list started with a comment that I received following my I'm quitting collecting video. Somebody, an old school friend of mine from back in my Sideshow Freaks forum days, but one of the other forum members there, at the time I was selling an Uruk-hai Berserker premium format figure and he bought it from me. He chimed in with a comment on that video, reminding me who he was and reminding me that he bought my premium format off of me, and I was like, oh, that's great, man, which one? Because I've sold a lot of premium formats over the years. And he replied, you're Uruk-hai Berserker. I'm like, ugh. Why the hell did I sell that? It's so cool. Regrets. Collecting is made of regrets when you think about it. Anyway, but I thought about it and I was like, man, what else do I regret selling? I mean, I really regret selling that Uruk-hai Berserker statue. That's saying something because there were two of them. I had two. I had a regular and exclusive. I put myself on the wait list for the exclusive and panicked because, you know, FOMO, and ordered the regular. The regular shipped, got to my house, and like the next day, I got a shipping notice from them saying, hey, yeah, we found an exclusive for you. Do you want it? Hell yeah. So I had two Uruk-hai Berserker statues in my collection for just a very short time. I sold one right away, and the other one hung out for a little while. Then my wife just said, that's ugly, get it out. And before you knew it, it was gone. Anyway, so there's that story. That's Terry's Tale of Woe. But so without further ado, that's the origin of this series. I've since found several different categories that I'm going to just throw out there and just talk about, just to get things out there in the ether about what I was thinking about calling it Terry's Regrets, but I don't like to have regrets, so I'm just going to call it Terry's Top 10. And if the subject of the top 10 is like, I regret doing this, then so be it. So anyway, and actually, this is an addendum just for anybody who's actually thinking that it's always going to be top 10. It may not. It's going to be called top 10, but there are a few categories that there aren't 10 collectibles that exist in those categories, so I won't be able to do a top 10. It'll be more like a top 5 or a top 4 or whatever. That'll be fun too. Anyway, enough of my jabber. Let's move on. Number 10, the Weta F.M.O.M. Manmelter. It's one of the items from their Rayguns collection that was fairly popular among collectors back in the day. I want to say that they peaked around 2009, 2010, maybe 2011. Not sure. There's actually, I'm going to throw a couple photos of it up here. That's the Weta F.M.O.M. Manmelter. I'm going to also throw a couple of other ray guns up there while I'm talking. But the whole concept of ray guns was part of the Dr. Broadmore's infallible aether oscillators, if I can get that right. Infallible aether oscillators. It was a really out of this world, whacked out, old school, sci-fi, pulpy kind of concept developed by this cat named Greg Broadmore, who I, on a couple of occasions, shared drinks with at the Tilted Kilt in San Diego during San Diego Comic-Con. He's a really cool guy, Greg is, and he has some really fantastic, fascinating concepts that he's brought through to fruition. There were some comic books that went along with it, a few lookbooks and whatnot. I have a few of them. Here's one of them right here. It's called Victory. It's just chock full of just crazy, crazy artwork and a couple of different like comic books, a little graphic novel-esque storylines going on there. It's a lot of fun. It's a great world that he created. Kind of steampunkish. Most of it is steampunkish, very steampunkish. But check it out. Do your Google, do your research. You can like zoom in on that there. It's Dr. Broadmore's Infallible Aether Oscillators, or in this case, the book is called Victory. Again, there are a few more out there for you to take a look at. Okay, so On to number 9, the aforementioned Sideshow Weta Uruk-hai Berserker Premium Format Figure Exclusive. Now obviously since I had 2, I don't really regret selling the regular, what today they would call the collector's edition of that statue. But the exclusive, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I mean, just look at this thing. It's just got such a dynamic, it captures the savagery and the ferocity and the terrifying nature of that particular style of Uruk-hai just so perfectly. I can't imagine anybody doing a better job of it. I don't know, I think that I've seen all the Uruk-hai Berserkers that have been on offer from the various collecting companies out there. And I think the only ones that have done it actually are Sideshow and Weta, because, you know, Weta, well, Lord of the Rings is their baby, and they rightfully should have that license. But look at what Sideshow did with it. It was really super cool. Number 8, back to Weta. One more time with Weta, the Kong versus Venatosaurus Rex statue. Was it called a statue? I think it was just called a statue. It might have been a diorama. I don't know. The thing was monstrous. It was, I want to say that it stood this high, and just look at the imagery of it, and you can imagine just how much space that takes up on a table. It didn't fit in with anything else in my collection, so obviously I chose to display it in the public area of the house, the living room. You can imagine how my wife greeted that idea, and once again she said, "Get out," and out it went. I think I sold that back in 2013, something like that. So it's been gone for a long, long while. Every so often I get whimsical and try to find one on eBay, but I've never been able to find one for anything close to what I sold it for, which is kind of my criteria for reacquiring something. So yeah, if anybody has one out there, feel free to chime in the comments. Let us know what you think about it, because I think it's one of the most perfect statues in the world, and I regret selling it. Number 7, and this one's kind of a unique thing. I've had several in this line, but number 7 is the Sideshow Tyrannosaurus Rex versus Triceratops diorama. The OG, the original, the very first one that they came out with back in the day. I sold it for a song, and since then it has skyrocketed into the 4-digit price range. It's a beautiful piece. The reason that I love it so much is that bit where the trike is shoving his horn through the Tyrannosaurus' thigh. Back when I was a kid, I had a book on dinosaurs that actually featured a painting, a gorgeous painting of a Tyrannosaur doing that same thing to, of a Triceratops doing that same thing to a T-Rex. And it just really struck me even then as a small child, single digits, like around kindergarten, maybe even a little earlier, about how violent and horrifying and cool that it looked. And once I had the opportunity as an adult to pick up a 3-dimensional version of that, I jumped at it. I also bought like 8 other Dinosauria statues from Sideshow, and they're all gone now. I don't even have one left. If I could have kept one, it would definitely be that T-Rex versus Trike. So sorry, miss you. Memories. Anyway. Moving along, number 6. All of the Weta line of Halo collectible statues. Weta, back in the day, came out with a line of, I want to say it was 4 different statues from the Halo 3 universe. And I want to say, I think it was Halo 3. It might have been Halo 2. No, it was definitely Halo 3. There were, let's see, there was the Master Chief and Covenant. And I want to say that it was just basically Master Chief blasting away at a couple of Covenant grunts. There was the Cortana statue, just basically featured the Master Chief's hand was the base, and with Cortana emerging from the holographic projector that he would pull out of his helmet. Gorgeous piece. She kind of had like her eyes closed. She looked really like in a meditative state of repose. Just beautiful. It's like you could just sense that she was just emerging from his hand and hadn't quite fully started to converse with him yet. Yankee Chief. Beautiful piece. Another one would be the Master Chief and the Arbiter. Yeah, that's it. Oh my God, I almost forgot David Keith Davids. I always get those names backwards. Anyway, Master Chief and Arbiter statue. Awesome piece featuring the 2 frenemies back to back in combat, in imagined combat. Obviously you can't see any of their enemies around them, but your imagination can fill in the rest of it. Beautiful piece, sold that one almost immediately. Again, I've been so prolific over the years in buying things that sometimes I buy things that I don't have a space for, and then I say, well, I should probably get rid of them. And then I wind up finding room for them later after they're gone. This was exactly that sort of thing. Really wish that I still had it. I do, however, have the 4th piece, that being the Master Chief versus Flood. And this, I was actually speaking to Richard Taylor about this, and at a bar, the aforementioned Tilted Kilt. And he talked about how this design was actually his idea, where they used a couple of steel rods as basically armatures and wrap those things in muzzle blasts from 2 brute spikers that Master Chief is wielding as he leaps into the air and attacks this flood tank form, which anybody who's played those games knows that thing is a bitch to take care of. I mean, once you know where to shoot it, I guess that it's okay. You can even take it down with a magnum at that point, but you know, still, they're terrifying. And if you can't shoot with a damn, then you're probably in trouble. Anyway, beautiful piece. Glad that I still have it. I think there's like a minor piece on it that's broken. That might be why I didn't sell it. I was just like, oh, if I can't get any money for it, then why sell it? This thing's perfect. I'll have to find room for it. I'd break it out now, but I'm not gonna. Where are we? Number 5. Sideshow, back to Sideshow, the Gandalf the Grey premium format exclusive, which actually featured an alternate portrait that was unhatted. You know, Gandalf with just his flowing locks. Anyway, wonder what inspired this look. Anyway, yeah, gorgeous piece. I think that the paint on it at the time was really extraordinary, but Sideshow's really upped their game since then. So the paint these days, it may not be able to hang with that. That being said, the cut and sew on it, still immaculate as far as I'm concerned. I mean, obviously I don't have one in front of me to compare my memory to actual fact, but the fact is, I still remember how glorious those robes were and how great that the statue looked coming down the steps in the Moria environment that the base was meant to represent. Great, great statue. If I came across one of those things in the wild someday, even after quitting collecting, I would be sorely tempted. It's really that good of a piece. Moving on, number 4, the Sideshow Spider-Woman Scroll Queen Spider-Woman. I'm not sure which order that actually went in. Legendary scale bust. Legendary? Was it called Legendary Scale? Let's just call it Legendary Scale. LSB. We'll just call it the LSB. Back in the day, Sideshow was doing a range of half-scale busts of Marvel characters, and I had a few of them. I had Venom, I had the Green Goblin, and I had this one, which I scored from a Sideshow VIP while helping them break down after Comic-Con. And to my everlasting shame, I forgot the source of that figure, and in a purge, a really quick purge, I wound up selling it for, well, not enough. Trying to find one these days is very, very, very difficult. I came across one a few months ago that somebody wanted, I want to say it was $500 for, and I decided that was more than I was willing to spend. These days, with the upcoming Secret Invasion storyline that they're going to be doing in the MCU, that might have been a mistake, because I think that's going to be even harder to find one of those for a good price these days. Fun fact, I remember seeing the number on the bottom of the one that was being sold that I passed up, and I actually think it was the one that I sold. I think the guy that I sold it to actually wound up selling it himself, and I missed the opportunity to have that one returned, which would have been ideal, because again, to my everlasting shame, I sold that which was given to me as a gift. By the way, that actually started a thing for me, in which when somebody gives me a collectible as a gift, and yes, that is a thing that happens, I never sell it. I refuse to sell it. I'm not going to sell any collectibles that are given to me as gifts. It's just, I think it's shameful. If somebody gives you a gift, they want you to have that thing. You can pitch it however you like, well, if they gave it to me as a gift, then they should be happy that I'm getting some money for it that I'm going to be able to use to buy something that I really want. Fuck that. Because here's why. That person gave that to you for a reason. And it wasn't just so that you could have stuff. That person gave you that gift as a representation of that friendship. And for you to take that representation of that friendship, or for me to take that representation of that friendship and sell it for some dollars, well, that means that you can set a dollar amount on that friendship, which is something you should never do. So I have several pieces in my collection now that were gifts from friends. I'll be talking about those in another video though, so let's move on. Number 3, back to Weta. The Arc Generator life-size collectible gun. Oh my God, I love this thing so much. And I got really, really, really lucky because it was very much in demand and it was sold out. I remember seeing it at Comic-Con and saying, oh, I gotta have this, but I'd already missed out on it. I basically set aside my hopes and dreams on this one. And one day I just intercepted an email, like it was being sent to somebody else, and me being the ultimate hacker that I am, I reached out and pulled it out of the ether and said, ooh, got this. No, that's not what happened. An email was sent out to all people who have accounts with Weta. in which they said, hey, look, we found one of these things. We're gonna do a lottery for it. Who wants it? So I put my name in a hat and my name was drawn and I was able to buy that thing for retail. I kept it for a few months. I got some cool photos of myself with it back when I was in denial that my hair was white and didn't have a place for it. Yeah, at the time. We were living in a very small apartment and I thought about putting it out in the living room. My wife again said, nope, get it out. So out it went. Doubled my money, but again, regrets. Number 2, Hulk Smash! That's right, the original Hulk, Incredible Hulk premium format figure from Sideshow. Sculpted by none other than Andy Bergholtz, the incomparable Andy Bergholtz, who has not been working for Sideshow for quite some time. This premium format figure is still discussed as a legendary piece, as well it should be. It features the Green Goliath in just this lurching, like he's reaching around, getting ready to grab or to throw something or to punch something. He just looks fantastic. The paintwork on it was, at the time especially, some of the best paintwork that I had ever seen on a premium format figure. I've lost track of how many quarter scale Incredible Hulk statues the Sideshow has produced. I'm sure that would be easy to make a count. I'm sure that it's less than 10, but more than 5. I have a Hulk statue downstairs. It's 5th scale, it's part of the Avengers scale line. I don't have that on display in my house at the moment. But trust me when I say as big and massive and as gorgeous as that piece is, it pales in comparison with the original green-skinned Green Goliath Incredible Hulk premium format figure by Sideshow. Last but not least, the #1 collectible, my biggest collecting, selling regret, and you knew it had to be Star Wars, is Sideshow's Tuscan Raider premium format figure from the early days of their Star Wars line. Relatively early. I know that quite a bit had come out by then. I think by then you had Obi-Wan, you had Darth Vader, you had Luke, Han, and Leia. Maybe even the droids, although I think that they were kind of released around the same time period. But just look at this thing, the lines on it, the pose. And I gotta say, that pose is 100% pure Tom Gilliland, the creative director for Sideshow Collectibles. That's all him, baby. You can really tell when Tom has just stepped in and said, this is how this thing is gonna look. I mean, I can actually see the man, envision him in my head standing there posing for the sculptors while they take photographs of him, saying, okay, this is how he has to look. And then having seen that thing realized as a quarter scale, basically it's a quarter scale sculpture of Tom Gilliland in a Tuscan Raider costume that's in everybody's house right now. Maybe I am glad I got rid of that. I don't know. Just kidding. I seriously think that it is the most beautiful piece of Star Wars collecting that Sideshow has produced in its long and illustrious career of creating Star Wars collectibles. Phenomenal, phenomenal figure. Don't know what I was thinking when I got rid of it. I couldn't even tell you what it would cost for you to get one on the aftermarket right now because I never see one in the aftermarket. They're just never available. So that's really frustrating for me, obviously, and probably for a bunch of other collectors too who wish they had one in their collecting arsenal. And that's it. My top 10 collecting, selling, whatever regrets, all laid out there for the world to see. I'd love to hear everybody's comments in the comment section down below. So feel free to engage me. Let me know what, if any, collectibles you sold that you just monumentally regret. Not just casually regret, but when you think about it, when you think about the fact that it's not in your collection anymore, you genuinely mourn its loss. I'm really interested to hear, because there may be some pieces that I've forgotten. There are other top 10 lists that are going to be coming your way over the course of the next few weeks as I whittle down this list of lists, the list of lists that I've compiled here. Hope everybody enjoyed this. I know I enjoyed getting it out, venting about it, and talking about it, and I'm looking forward to engaging with you guys in the comment section. Take care. Oh, and be good to your plastic. I almost forgot. Yeah, that's my tagline. Be good to your plastic. Yeah.